Before starting with the implementation, let's go ahead and check out what you will be building in this video. You can see that this is a circular progress bar, and if I go ahead and click on the Get Data, it is going to start the progress. It's also going to show you the amount of progress that has been done, like 70%, 80%, till it reaches 100, and at that point it stops. So let's go ahead and see how we can build this. So now that you have seen what we'll be building in this video, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we need to do is we need to create a circle, obviously. So let's go ahead and remove the text part of it, and I'm going to go ahead and create a circle. All right. Now, if I simply go ahead and create a circle, it's just going to create a circle with the default, which is a black color. Now, I want to create the outline of the circle. Basically, I want to create the border of the circle, which means that I will be using the stroke part of it. And I can go ahead and supply the line width the stroke will be. I can pass in 20, I can pass in 30, or whatever I want. So now you can see at least we have a circle where the line width is 20. You can obviously change this also. I'm going to go ahead and also change the opacity of the color, and I will just simply go ahead and put it at 0.2. So it's a little bit faded out, because what we eventually need to do is to start filling out this area, which is going to be representing that the progress bar is actually going on. We'll go ahead and also change the foreground color, and I want to create a color using purple, so I'm just going to use purple. And you can see because of the opacity of 0.2, it's it's not completely visible. Well, it's a little bit faded out. If I go ahead and pass in 1, then you can see it's very, very dark, but we want to go ahead and pass a little bit low opacity so that we can eventually create a circle on top of the circle and start filling it out. Now, we want to add another circle on top of this circle, so we can't really use a V stack, meaning the vertical stack, or we cannot use a horizontal stack. We have to use a Z stack, which means that it's going to be putting things on top of each other. So I'm going to go ahead and format it correctly. There we go. So what do we want to put on top of the circle? Well, we want to put another circle on top of this circle. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a circle. And you can see now that there is a circle on top of the old circle. But we don't really want all of this stuff. We only want the actual stroke. So I'm going to go ahead and say stroke. And in this way, in this overload function, we're going to provide the name of the style. Now, the style that we are looking for the stroke is in stroke style. And we're going to pass in the line width. So 20 should be fine. And the reason I'm using 20 over here is that it will completely fill up the outline of the original circle. The line cap, meaning the head of the line, the cap of the line, is going to be round. And the line join, I'm just going to go ahead and say also round. I don't really want to use any of the other things, so I can simply remove that stuff. I don't really care about all of that stuff. And we do want to use some sort of a foreground color, and the color in this case I'm just going to use is purple. Okay, so it didn't really make any sense, right? I mean, it just filled out the circle, the other circle, the first circle, and the second circle just fills it out on the first one. But what we want to do is we want to only be visible this part. So we're only interested in this portion. So how do we use it? How do we trim it out? Well, you can actually use the trim function on the circle where you can pass in the from, where do you want to trim, and to, where would it go? So if I go ahead and say 0.25, and let's go ahead and put a dot over here, obviously, because this is a function, you can see that it's kind of like the quarter of the circle is being displayed. All right. The maximum value, obviously the 2 will be 1, which means it's going to be the whole circle. So I can go ahead and press 1 over here. Let's say 1. And that means that you are going to be filling out the whole circle. So we obviously know at this point that this is 2 is a part that we need to be changing. So if I go ahead and say 0.5, it's going to be half a circle. You can see half a circle is, filled out. 0.75 it's going to be more of a 3/4 of the circle is filled out. So that's how we have to do something about it. We have to change this value, and you can see changing this value does actually change or fill out the second circle. So how should we change this value? Well, there are many different ways. Right now we're just going to use most probably a button, but this value, since this is changing, we need to create some sort of a state. So I'm going to go at the top and I'm going to say state and private var progress, and I will call it double equals to 0. There we go. And now I can go ahead and simply pass the value over here, self.progress. Let's go ahead and refresh our view. Great. And make sure that we are using CG float. Let's go ahead and refresh the view again. Okay. This means that if I go ahead and change the value of the progress, so let's say I change the value to 0.5, and most probably I have to refresh the view, then it should fill it out half. There we go. So that's definitely working. But we need to find a way to fill out or change this progress value. We're not going to implement the data download and all that kind of a thing. So what we will do is we will simply add a button, and then we can say fetch data or get data from somewhere. Obviously, we're not really going to get data, but you get the idea, right? We will also try to move this button to be a little bit offset. So it moves into, let's say, Y200, a little bit at the bottom. The button is not really important anyways, but we'll just move it to 300 right at the bottom. That's fine. Okay. Now, when we go ahead and click on the button, we can go and change the progress to 1.0. So it's 100% progress. Another thing is that it's very much tying into the left side. You can see the left side and the right side. So maybe we can add a little bit of a padding on Z stack. So we'll go ahead and add a padding. Perfect. And let's go ahead and press on get data. Now, as soon as I press, you can see it completely fills it out. That's fine, but well, it would be nice if it's more of an animation. So what we can do is we can go over here into our circle, and I can go ahead and add an animation, and the default animation is going to work fine. So I can simply say linear animation. Let's go ahead and press on get data. Okay, way too quick, right? So we can actually make it a little bit slower. I can go ahead and say animation.linear, and I can pass in some sort of a duration. So let's say 2 seconds. So it will be a little bit slower. Pretty cool, right? Okay, the other thing that we want to do is we want to display some sort of a text right in the middle, right here. So the first thing we will need is obviously the text. So I'm going to go ahead and add a text to it. There we go. All right. And we will wait for it to refresh. Right now it says 0%. If I go ahead and get data, it just immediately changes to 100%. So that's not good. How can we make sure that this text is also saying 10%, 20%, and so on? So over here in the get data, we can actually use a timer. Now in your actual application, you might be fetching data or something, but right now, since we don't have any requests going anywhere, I'm just going to use a schedule timer. It's going to fire 1 second. It's going to be repeating, and every single time it actually repeats, then we can say self.progress, and we're going to add progress plus equals to 1. All right, and you should be able to kill the timer also. So I can go ahead and say over here timer equals to something. So it will return. If you look at this implementation, let's go ahead and first refresh this. Okay, maybe it doesn't refresh. Okay, there we go. I guess if that one doesn't really return anything. Let's go ahead and make sure that we are, oh, it is going to give you a timer. It doesn't really return anything, but it will give you the access to the timer. We're going to add plus 0.1 to it, not 1. And if the self.progress is greater than equal to 0, then maybe we can go ahead and call something to end the timer. So I can go ahead and say invalidate. Let's go ahead and build that. It's going to take some time to build. And once it is done building, we can go ahead and try it again. This time, hopefully, our timer, the actual label, is also going to change. 10%. No, it actually stopped at like, oh, so this is not 0, obviously. We should be doing it for greater than equal to 1, which means 100%. All right, let's go ahead and do it again. There we go. All right, our data is being downloaded, and hopefully when it reaches 1, it should end. There we go. Beautiful, right? So in this video, you learn how you can easily create a circular progress bar using SwiftUI. If you like this video and want to support my channel, then the best way would be to go to Udemy and check out my courses. I have a course on SwiftUI. It's called SwiftUI Declarative Interfaces for Any Apple Device. It is one of the best-selling courses on Udemy for SwiftUI, and you can see it has more than 16 hours of content just on SwiftUI, including MVVM design pattern, core data implementation, and also neomorphic design, apart from a lot of other stuff. If you already have this course, then check out some other courses. If you go to my profile, you'll be able to see that I have many other courses that are available, including the course on unit testing that just got released yesterday. So definitely check out all of my courses. Here's my unit testing course. You will definitely benefit it if you are interested in learning about unit testing. And the best way to get the course is the YouTube description. The link is in the YouTube description, so definitely check that out. Thank you so much.